from 3D Joe's and Operation Recall and The Art of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and all that good stuff. I've got a package from China that I wanted to open with you guys. I'm cutting right through that label. Let's see if I can get that label out of there. There we go. All right, so this has been sitting for me for a little while now, actually. I knew I wanted to do a live stream with you guys because these toys would not be getting made without you. And so I wanted to share in the joy of opening this for the first time together. And I've been short of time. And I was supposed to be going to New Jersey Comic-Con, Collectors Con, this weekend. And unfortunately, I had some issues with my remodel. And Lowe's owes me thousands of dollars of supplies, and I've got to meet them there between 7 and 11 in the morning tomorrow. So I'm stuck at home, but I have test shots. Okay, so this is crazy. These came off the molds, man. This is cut steel molds with poured plastic. This is injection molded plastic, mass-produced toy goodies. Let's dump that out. There we go. And I have no clue. I have not looked at this yet, so I'm not sure the organization. It looks like it's a mix of parts for different figures in the various molds, so it's not like these are sorted by character or anything. And obviously, I'm going to have to go through these for a while to make sense of, well, you know, just to assemble everybody and put them with their weapons and everything. Because, I mean, I can identify, you know, Mizumakor backpack right there, Mizumakor gun right there, his machetes right there. This plugs into his backpack, so this is the machete holder for his backpack. But then that's the Breacher China Lake grenade launcher. That's the Keltec KSG for Breacher. This plugs in, it doesn't plug into Breacher anymore, it plugs into Dark Reapers. And so there's a mix of weapons here. There's Dark Reaper's other gun, Mortafero's mace right there, Mortafero's little Walther P38 pistol. So yeah, it looks like an accessories sprue there. Then you get into some figure parts. This is Mortafero's head. I can see that right there. This is his alternate head that will be the mail order figure for the end of year one. He's free for everybody that went all in, so you don't need to do anything. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to break these off the sprues. And I do have a little rivet gun, so I will do my best to try to put these together. And as you can see, some of the parts have already just come off the sprue in shipping from China. But these, again, are poured plastic parts, straight off the molds. Very exciting, coming from the factory. Could not be more excited about this stuff. Good Lord. There's the little Mizumakor hair pieces. You know, they got like these little dreads that they tie up on top of their heads. Here's the year 2 helmet for Breacher. We're going to have a year 2 release for him. That's part of a new subgroup that we rolled out at Joe Fest called Desert Ops. There's Mortafero's shoulder pad. So this is the sprue that's like a little bit softer plastic. This plastic is squishy, so it fits on the heads. And these are the ammo belts, which obviously you want to be more flexible. So this is the more flexible plastic sprues. Yeah, so just tons of figures, man. Yep, there's Mizumakor's head right there with the balaclava. And then there's the Mizumakor leader werejackal that'll be coming for year 2. So we don't want to sell you a lot of just like straight up repaints. We want to make some unique parts here and there and make it feel original. The dog is actually going to have a swivel neck. See that right there? He's got a little articulation point in the neck. So that's exciting. And there you can see his head still on the sprue. Hopefully the focus is okay for you guys and you can see this. There's really not, I don't think there's really a better way for me to do this. But yeah, so this is Breacher's dog Hellhound, and you see the head and you see the dog. And it looks like they're going to get 3 dogs and 3 heads off of one mold. So that's cool to see. These are the figure stands, and these are great because they've got the Atlas logo, and that A will have a color on it. And then you have the Orthrus logo, and that skull will have a color on it. So there'll be a pop of color on the stands. They've got 2 foot pegs for it, obviously. But then the innovation that we did was we added basically a display, like a little gap back here that will either hold the file card or the full card back or the trading card. So every card back, and I think you'll see those in just a second here because we have card backs in the bottom of this box. But each one of those card backs will slide into this little display stand. So not only is it a figure display stand, but it's an art display stand or a file card display stand, whatever your preference is. Yeah, tons more pieces here, more pieces and parts. That's Breacher's torso. So this is the first time I'm seeing these in hand. Ooh, Dark Reapers. Look at that head. That head looks amazing. Oh, he looks so great. Shout out to Carter, the Conqueror. Thank you so much for your help with the sculpture revisions. And there are things that plug in, like these knee pads on the Dark Reapers actually plug in here. So it'll be interesting to see how these are assembled. Many more pieces here. Look like forearms. And so those would obviously be glued together. More torsos, more legs. That's more Mortafaro parts. Upper arms, forearms. Oh, wow. Okay, so they did already assemble some. We've got some assembled figures here. Great. I wasn't sure if these were coming to me. But yeah, they've already put some rivets in and assembled some of these guys. So we will open that up. And we got some more here, so we will open that up together. But I won't bore you with much more of the bags of parts. This is Mizumu Core's torso with his kind of chainmail armor on it, and then the different sets of arms with the different scarification patterns for the different releases. So that's really fun. And then these are all obviously the shoulder joints, which I'm sure you guys are very familiar with, as well as the elbow joints. Looks like those are all coming off of one mold. And then we have more parts for, I see some Breacher gauntlets in here. He's got very recognizable gauntlets. The alternate Breacher head. So he's got a head that has the full hairstyle combed back, brushed back there. That's going to be the year 2 release with a removable helmet. And the removable helmet is going to go on the Desert Ops guy. So he's got a ballistic Ronin helmet with a removable, obviously removable soft plastic helmet. And then his year 1 release, the reason this head has the little cap on the top is because then he's got a baseball cap that's turned around backwards that he'll be wearing. I don't think I see that in this bag, so that's probably on another sprue. But yeah, some good Breacher parts there. And let's see, we got all the hands here. So the hands are made out of that softer plastic, so we're not going to get any broken thumbs. And it also helps us to jam the bigger weapons into their hands. So this is the same type of articulation that you have with your Delta 17 figures, if you guys have bought any of those. If you haven't, check them out. We're working with the same project manager, same factory, and we're going for full compatibility with them. And who knows, maybe we'll cross over down the road. That'd be awesome. These are probably the alternate arms for Mizumu Core, but we'll dig in here and see what's going on. Yeah, that's definitely what that is. Okay, so let's go through the artwork first. All right, so these are the card backs. You guys have probably seen this stuff online, so I'll shoot through this quickly. If you have not seen this online, recommend you go to operationrecall.com and then go to the roll call page. That is thick. So if I had to compare it to some recent stuff, I would say that is way thicker than the classified retro card backs that they originally came out with. Yeah, I'm throwing shade. But they fixed that problem. None of this will say coming soon. We've finished all the paintings. Doug Hart has delivered the last of his paintings for year 1. So these are all done. This is just old artwork here. So we will have the full cross sell there. And it's all 19 figures on the cross sell, so you're going to get that nice nostalgic feeling of getting one of these in your hand, flipping it over, and see who else is coming. And that's very much the feeling you're going to have with Operation Recall, because you know we're going to have 5 waves of 4 figures here, so it should be fun to look at the cross sell and just know like every one of those are coming. And if year 1 does well, we're already developing year 2, so we're going to keep rolling. Right after year 1 wave 5 hits, we will go straight into year 2 wave 1. So this is General Mortafaro. He's the 4th of the wave 1 figures. Now wave 1, you know, figures 1 through 4, the numbering doesn't really matter because they're all coming at the same time. But just know that these are the first 4 figures you're going to get. You're going to get 3 bad guys, 3 Orthrus enemy figures. And so this is the Mizumu Core. I already showed you Mortafaro. He's the enemy leader. And again, for the last figure for year 1, Mortafaro is going to get captured and unmasked. And then you'll see his exclusive head sculpt for that. So this is the Mizumu Corps, who are the Jungle Troopers. And the unique thing we're doing for this is it's an army builder, but there's 2 different versions of these guys with 2 different scarification patterns on the arms. And so that's going to be a really cool figure. This is the trading card that's on the back of every offering. So you can cut that out and put your Doug Hart painting right there behind your figure using the figure stand. So this is Mizumu Corps. And these are all written by Larry Hama. You guys probably already know that. We'll do the last bad guy for wave 1. And this is Dark Reapers. Shout out to Chris Scott. This was based off of his Airsoft uniform. And you may have noticed we're going to have little QR codes that are going to lead you to the website so you can learn more about that character. And whatever vehicle we end up using to tell the story, we will put that on the appropriate character page. So we have been developing a lot of storytelling to go along with these, and these feel great. These are nice and thick, so you're not getting any flimsy stuff from us. So that looks great. And yeah, all the nostalgia. I love it. Okay. And little spoiler alert, every one of these figures is going to come with, I think this is another innovation. So like what we did with the figure stand, where you can have it display artwork in addition to the figures. This is something I have not seen done with other figures. You guys let me know, drop in the comments if you've ever seen this done with an action figure line. Then I will eat a large slice of humble pie and say I was wrong. But I will give a shout out to the old DC line from the 80s, those DC superheroes, the 5 points of articulation ones. I collected those, and they had a nice thing where if you cut out the, there was a trading card. Right when you took the figure off, there was a trading card right behind them, and I love that. Now, obviously, I didn't want to muck this up by putting a trading card behind here, and I also didn't want these bubble solids to have to be that big. So I was thinking, what if on the front you have a close-up of the artwork, and then if you flip that over right in the same spot, you have a wide shot of the artwork. So you have a trading card that gives you a wide shot of the artwork and a close-up on the front. So that's one thing we're doing. The other thing that we're doing is including a pre-production, basically like a little mini catalog, a little insert for every figure. All right, so it looks like they just gave me 3 copies, but this is going to be the same thing. So this is the one for Breacher. Now, number one, the first thing I noticed is that it's folded wrong, and that's okay. That's why you do these kind of dry runs. But the way that this is going to be folded is this is going to be the cover sheet, right? And this says Breacher and Hellhound design process by Mark Pennington. So you're going to see that, and that's the same color as this right here. So this is going to be hidden. This is going to be camouflaged in the packaging. I didn't want it to distract from the overall display, the nostalgic feel. I never like to see those big catalogs kind of sticking behind the figures, all the colors kind of throwing you off. So I wanted to do something that was very nondescript. So it'll be folded like that, so that's the first thing you see. But then when you open it up, you're going to get a full pre-production run for each and every figure. Each and every figure is going to have a unique pre-production insert. So this is the pre-production process that Mark Pennington went through, all the different ideas. We call this ideation. And then once he got to a final design with input from me and Kirk Bazigian, then he revised the line art and then photocopied it 6 times. And then he would create different color studies using photocopies of the revised line art. And then once those were approved, he would move on to the final colors on and he would do a figure sculpture sheet and an accessory sculpture sheet. And then they had something called presentation artwork, which was the designer's last chance to show what the figure would look like, to management. And at this point, management could veto the figure and send it, back and say, no, we're not going to make this one or make these changes or whatever. This was the artist or the designer, Ron Rudat, Mark Pennington. This was their last chance to show it off to management and get management excited about it. So if that presentation artwork didn't work, the figure could die. And then on the flip side of it, we're going to have a giant Doug Hart unadorned package art mini poster. So I'm very excited about this. Again, this is going to be included with every single figure, and it'll be folded so that it's camouflaged behind each of the figures. So let me dig in and I'll show you the other 3. Since there's 4 unique figures in here, there are 4 unique inserts. All right, so this is Dark Reapers. And again, let me show you the Dark Reapers card back. It has that yellow. And so this will be nice and camouflaged back there on that. And this shows Ron Rudat's line art, all the pre-production kind of ideation that he did to arrive at the final design. And that runs along the top. And then you have the color studies that Ron Rudat did. And then you have the figure sculpture sheet and the accessory sculpture sheet and the presentation artwork. So Ron's final attempt at, selling this figure through to management. And then, of course, you flip it over and you got a full Doug Hart mini poster. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So much work has gone into these figures that I felt like it was a shame for that not to be included. I feel like this is something that every toy company should do, honor their designers and show off all the work that goes into it. So this is General Mortafero. And what you can see here, which is really cool, on Mark Pennington's illustrations for the ideation, like all the different ideas that he went through to arrive at the final concept, you know, Kirk Bazigian would go in and say, I like this body, I like this coat, I like these shoulders, I like this mask, whatever. But one of the things he did was he drew this illustration of this kind of skull-faced, like white face on a very black, dark outlined face. That ended up being used for our mail order version 2 of Mortafero. So we took a combination of these elements and came up with the final Mortafero design, but then we came back to this head and said that's what he looks like when he's unmasked. So I'm very excited about that. We always try to go back to the ideation and try to like pull little nuggets from there. That's something that happened with the great whites as well. So the snakeheads are the year 1 kind of deep sea swimmers that are super fast. And then the great whites are the deep sea divers that are coming for year 2. And there's elements from year 1 that are included in there. So these are the color studies for Mortafero. And then you have the figure sculpture sheet, the accessory sculpture sheet, and the presentation artwork. And of course you flip it over and you got the full body painting mini poster by Doug Hart. All right. And then let me show you the last one. Should have one more in here. Should just be one more. Oh no, I think they're gonna spoil something here for you, but that's cool. Let's go ahead and show it. All right, this is General Mortafero, year 1, mail order exclusive. So there he is unmasked with that skull face, and he's already bashed somebody's head in. That's why he's got blood on the mace and blood on the face. So very cool. And then flip that over. And the only thing that's changed here is, you know, we swapped out the figure sculpture sheet with the exclusive head there. So cool to see that. And then, of course, we have the Mizumu core. And this was a Mark Pennington design. And so you can see all the ideas that he went through to arrive at the final concept. And then you see the color studies here and figure sculpture sheet and accessory sculpture sheet, along with presentation artwork. I absolutely love that presentation artwork. And then flip it over, and you get the mini poster of Doug Hart's awesome package art. So that's it for the inserts. And I think, yeah, I've already showed you guys the card backs. So let's get into some of these pre-assembled figures. How's everybody's Friday night going? You guys doing all right? I hope so. All right, we got some arms here. This is all Mizumu core. Now, it's going to be hard to see without paint applications here, but these are the guys that have the different scarification patterns. So not sure if you can make that out yet. Let's see. But yeah, I sure can. So that's cool to see. And we got a couple sets of those. So I'll dig in and play with these and make sure I'm happy with the articulation, the bends, and everything. But yeah, so it's got them with all their accessories. This is the head for year 2. So this is the Mizumu core leader. His name is Werejackal. And he's got scarification patterns on his forehead, on the back of his neck. He's got a cool haircut. And then you got the standard Mizumu core head in there with the Orthrus mask as well. So I'll go through and look at that. Another Mizumu core and another Mizumu core. So it looks like we got 3 of those. They probably sent me 3 for each. And I've had a few guys, the concept creators in particular, asking if they can get a test shot. If these are mine to keep, then I will give one of these to the concept creators. So this is Breacher with his hat on backwards. Very cool to see him all assembled and in hand. It also has the swap out head with the alternate helmet in here. So I get to play around with that. That's the year 2 version. So year 1 has that backwards ball cap. Year 2 has a different head sculpt and a removable helmet. So there's Breacher. Let's see. All right, and this is Dark Reapers. And again, this is Chris Scott's baby. So yes, Chris, you can have one of these, of course. So I'll have to dig in here and see what's going on here. I see a little part in here. I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's the flashbang grenades that go on his forearm. So he's going to have grenades that are glued into his forearm for the trooper. And then for the officer, we're going to take those grenades off and we're going to put a communications tablet there because, you know, he's got to communicate with headquarters, get the plans and everything. So we wanted to do something different. So it's not just a, you know, a paint deco variation. We want to have some unique parts. Even if the majority of the character is the same, you could take out these grenades, put in a tablet, and that's relevant for a leader. So, and then of course, we got the big bad for year one. And Orthrus is a two-headed dog, so in Greek mythology. So it's worth mentioning that this may just be the leader of the enemy, yes, but it might just be one of the two heads. So there you have the, it's called a shoulder pauldron that basically pegs into the shoulder right there. So this is made of a flexible material, and I'm sorry that my focus is so bad. Anyway, this pegs into the shoulder right there, but this is made out of that softer material so you can still lift that arm up, for example. And then this is the alternate head where he's unmasked. So I'm excited to see that. He's got his machete that pegs in on his waist. And then he's got the mace, and he's got a little pistol. So this is General Mortefero, and it also has the exclusive mail order head. So there's 3 of those. All right, that's it. That's everything in the box. So I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to go through here. I'm sure I'm going to take pictures of everything, and I'll get in here and answer any comments. I'm live streaming right now, so I'm not sure I even know how to access the comments. Let me turn it sideways. See what's going on. Yeah, no, I'm not smart enough for that. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, I will get on and check the comments and get back to you guys. But long story short, we have test shots. We have 3 assembled test shots of each figure for wave 1, and then we have the individual parts as well, showing how they're coming off the injection mold plastic molds. So I'm going to dig in on this and have a good look at everything, test all the articulation, make sure everything's where we want it to be. And I'm sure I'll be jumping back on and answering y'all's questions. So thank you for joining me. Hope y'all are doing well. Have a good weekend.